Hello, New York City Charter Schools. This is Tracy Davey, and I'm going to show you a bunch of new reports that we have in ReportNet for the 2021 school year and moving forward that address the state requirements for reporting student daily attendance on every day that the student is enrolled. You must not only report days that students were absent or suspended, you must also report every day that the student was enrolled and attended your school. Here we are in ReportNet, and I want to show you that report. When you come in here, I highly recommend checking your welcome. If you've just ran a report, it's going to be sitting here and you'll need to delete it to run the same report again. You're going to go to team content, and these are the folders you're going to open up. You'll hit on the district one first, the New York City Charter Schools. This first lineup of reports that you see are actually some verification reports or just information to help you out. Like you can just go get a list of my students to see a quick summary of the date that students enrolled, what grade they're in, when they might have exited if they did, and get their official student ID number. And then in this folder, extracts. This is where we leverage that kind of information about who are the kiddos at your school, registered when, and attended, enrolled on which days of instruction, that we can help you report your daily attendance. We're going to scroll down a little bit. Actually, when you open the screen, it's very likely that it'll be short like that, and you may be frustrated that you can't see the entire title. Grab these little parallel lines and scooch it out to make sure that you can see the full title. There are 3 reports here. If your school used ATS in the fall of 2020 and you need to pull out all those tardies and add a modality, you need to run this report. If your school has reported some attendance in level 0, either manually or with an import, maybe you have some tardies still outstanding or any other attendance from ATS, you want to use this report. You want to, well, I don't want to run that one yet. Actually, it doesn't matter, the lineup is the same, but I do want to show you that last piece. This report will give you all data so that when you upload the data into level 0, there is no chance of you deleting anything by mistake. So if you have a bunch of data in there, that's the one you want to use. If your school has not started this reporting yet, you're going to want to use our create missing report. And I also recommend actually any of these reports, it might be a good idea to run them by month. If you're just working on the tardies, grab that whole September to December. The reason I say this is I want you to have an Excel file in front of you that is something that you can finish within a couple hours. I don't want you to go into any task, have it be too big, dragged on for days, and you forget where you left off. So I'm going to recommend do the month of September, then go to October, November, and so on. All 3 of these attendance reports have the exact same landing page. And now I can't seem to close this. Let me tap on it again. I did tap on the one that for create all. But again, it doesn't matter. This first page is the same. First, you choose your name, and then you choose the school year. To work with the fall term, you need to change the year on the start date range. You want to look at 2020, and I'm going to choose September, and I want to start on September 1st. To look at only the month of September, I need to change the end date from September 1st to September 30th. You could actually run it for one day, but I think you'll be frustrated if you have to run this 180 times because you had school on 180 days this year. And then you just scooch down on the screen and hit next. At this point, I'm going to switch to a PowerPoint because I need to protect personally identifiable information, student names, numbers, and whatnot. On the next screen, you will be able to choose your students. As I mentioned, you could choose just one. I recommend selecting all and then working with 1 month at a time. The list of students will be alphabetically, and you can use the slider here to scroll down and just pick certain students by name. Again, I'm recommending to choose all. Once you've made a decision on this part of the screen, the finish button will come live and you can tap on that. At that point, we're going to jump into the Excel file. An Excel file will be downloaded and you'll want to open that. Okay, here is an Excel file with fake data. And we have directions at the top We use the same kind of lineup whenever you see the headers. Anything that is blue has been changed to blue to catch your attention, to make sure that you understand that it's a required field and you have work to do in that field. Whenever you see a green header, it means that this is extra information that is for your use to make this work easier. If you in your school, certain classes were like maybe grade levels, maybe your kindergartners were in the building, but your 6th, 7th, and 8th graders were remote. Well, we added the grade levels so you can sort them that way and make sure that you're reporting the correct modality. The State Education Department has said this numerous times. Do your best. What they expect us to know on every day of instruction, whether or not your student was present for instruction, and whether or not their instruction, the instructional modality was in person, remote, or both, some combination of the two. The state has defined both also to include if a student is in your building, but you have a teacher who's on quarantine and they remote into the classroom, then that class is remote and other classes might be in person. And you should report both for that day. Due to pandemic relief by the federal government, families can get, I can't think of the word they're using for it, but they'll get an adjustment to their pandemic EBT monies for students who were remote or completely, or a hybrid method that both. Their families are going to be awarded additional monies to cover the cost of food for your children eating at home, when they could have possibly have had 2 meals in school on a day if they were there full time and it weren't the pandemic. So reporting this as accurately as you can is really very important. All right, working in this Excel file, we always recommend, I'm going to tell you, and I do recommend it to all of you out there, seeing as much information on the screen at once. So I'm going to change the sizes of things so I can see more. Student IDs are not that long. I'm going to scrunch the size of that column down by just grabbing in between. You'll see when I hover between two columns up here, I can change the size. If you're concerned about knowing what's in each of those titles, you can wrap the text up here on the ribbon. I'm just going to tap wrap text, and then I can see all of the verbiage in each cell. For cells that are gray, and we haven't highlighted the text in those cells, and they also say leave blank, you absolutely must leave them blank. Well, actually, it doesn't matter if you put something in there, it's not going to be imported, but you cannot delete those cells. They are placeholders to make sure that the modality and all the information that's going to be further right in this Excel file come into the correct fields in level 0. So you can either squish them down really tiny, or you could just hide them. You could just do that by, if you just hide a number as you slide it left, it'll hide all of them. Now I'm going to grab the next two here, make it easier to see everything on the screen. A couple more that I can squish down. You can also, once highlighted, the cells are highlighted, the columns, all cells in those columns are highlighted. You can also right click and hit hide. Then we have that important modality one that we need at the end. I'm even going to shrink that down because I want confirmation that I am done, that that's the last field. At this point, you start entering information. Now I chose just one student, and as you can see, this one little kiddo, for the days of school for this sample, the number of days of instruction at my sample school is 16. I have highlighted, a part of each row, and down the bottom in the lower right-hand corner, it actually says count 16. Then I think I have just screwed this up. I hope I am showing my screen. Bad time to look. I'll have to test this video, and if it's bad, if you're hearing this, you know that I actually did it right and can't see on my screen whether or not I'm showing the screen. Oh, too funny. Okay, while you are working with this, I have a couple cautions. If you were to filter on some information, then what it does is hide lines in between. so you can't just paste information down. Let me show you how easy it is to input information. So if this kid had perfect attendance in that month, you're going to put in your code or the state code for present. When you have information in a cell that you want to paste down, when you select that individual cell, there's this little handle down in the right-hand corner of that individual cell, and make that big so you can see. If you double tap there, look at that. I got a plus sign because I can do extra actions. It'll automatically paste it all the way down. Think about the daily attendance in your school. If you have 3, 4, 15 kids absent, you have 200, 300, kids in school, your attendance rate is probably in the 90% range, maybe somewhere from 85 to 90 some odd percent every day. To get started, you might want to consider making everyone present. Then you need to make the notations about a modality. If your students were all remote, that's gonna be super easy. You're gonna type in an R. Actually, let me go back and show you the header here in highlighted yellow, and yellow here is information about those, the modality types. I just realized I made it so small we can't see all the verbiage there. Make that one a little smaller so we can see it all. Okay, so the modality information that you need to fill in is either IN for in, R for remote, or B for both. So if your whole school was remote, the thing you're going to want to do here then is to fill in that item and paste it down. Well, I'm glad it actually showed this. In this instance, I've trained, it's actually a custom list, my computer to move forward in the alphabet. But so if something pastes and it's not quite the way you want it, just go to that little handle down here. It's offering you the ability to absolutely control. It was just thinking, hey, Tracy, you want to go through the alphabet, right? And I'm like, yeah, no, please copy this. I tell it to do so, and then it's fixed. So think about it, right? It would be very quick and easy. You could have 500 kids in your school in the month of September, 16 days of attendance for each. With those two motions of adding present and remote all the way down, you're now ready to just look for individual kiddos, and you have them by name and you have their grade, and you could then add their days, the days that they were absent, excuse me, change that present to an absence. If you have custom codes in there, you're going to put whatever it is. Otherwise, you might put an E for excused, U for unexcused. If a student was suspended, you also need to report that, or you can put in a T for tardy. In level 0, the state in their new regulations, you actually now also need to report whether or not the student was absent or present on that day of suspension, either in school or out of school. So by tapping over on the edge, choose the entire row. I'm going to do a right-click copy. Then I'm going to do an insert copied cells. And now on that exact same day of the suspension, I need to say whether or not the student was present in the alternate location or whatever for in school, or if they were absent. And that might be an unexcused absence. When you're working in actually this field for your attendance codes and the instruction and modality, the state has always uses a capital letter in those codes. I recommend turning on your cap locks to make sure that that's not an error when you upload the data into level 0. That's all I'm going to show you at this time, except for how to save the data. Once you are finished, you absolutely want to go up and do a file and save as and make it a CSV. Excuse me, you want to save it as Excel. You want to see it with the headers, because if you go to upload the data and there's an error, you can come back here and look and see why. If you just try to upload your data and you saw an error, the array is too big, that the way it's looking at too many fields, either columns across or rows down actually would not be a problem unless they're blank. But then you would come back here and say, oh my God, I never deleted those student names. Tracy warned me they have to go. And I never deleted those headers. I need to get rid of those too. So after saving this as Excel, delete those rows at the top, all of them, delete. And now you're getting close to being ready. There's one more thing I'm going to recommend that you do. And I'm just going to shrink that cell down a bit. If you ever tap out here or down there, it's actually going to spit out a comma in every field to that point. And then when the software tries to load up, it's going to say, hey, your school ID is wrong, because in this field, we're supposed to see your school ID, it's only seeing a comma. So the best practice when you're ready to load your file is to grab a whole bunch of cells and just hit a delete on your keyboard. Then you do not want to tap anywhere but where you have data. You can always just use the sliders to get to a different part of the screen, find the first column that's blank, swipe right, grab a whole bunch, hit a delete, and then save your file as a CSV. Let's hop into level 0 and take a look at the upload screen. Okay, here is my sample school. This is all fake data, though the software is real, right? Where I'm definitely in our live level 0. I'm going to go to electronic import, choose my student daily attendance, and you really, when you are doing this, unless you know that you have every single record for your school ever reported in level 0 previously, anything that we got from ATS, you want to leave step 2 at its default setting. Do not delete. Then simply choose your file, tap here to find your file on your computer. You're going to tap on import file, and you don't have to pause. You can simply go to the validate button. It's possible that when you hit validate, you will get a message that says another user is, validation is working for another user, please wait. Pause a minute, probably nothing more than that. You will have to queue up your file again, hit prepare file, and then hit go again. It's very possible that at the end of July, we're going to be so busy that we're going to put level 0 on batch reporting so that you'll be able to hit the button and validate your data and get the message whether or not it's complete and you're ready to go to the next month, maybe back in ReportNet and then to Excel. But then the data will actually load and you can come back to level 0 and check your home screen and ensure that the record count for the category of student daily attendance has increased. Or actually, you'll see the time that it was saved. When we turn on batch reporting, your data will be uploaded every, actually, I think it's every 30 minutes, possibly an hour. We know you guys are in New York. We want to do it in a New York minute, but if it gets crowded and the data has to, be paused to have one file load at a time, then we will put on that batch reporting and we'll process it as quickly as possible. Batch reporting will absolutely move. You're just going to see when something is in the batch, and it is only for student daily attendance. During the 2019-2020 school year, Eastern Suffolk BOCES collected 1.3 million records of student daily attendance. This year, we looked at the number of schools. We looked at the number of students actually enrolled at every school, estimated 180 days of attendance. And this year, we anticipate that if everyone does this reporting without missing a student, we're going to have over 28 million records. So that batch reporting is going to be essential to make sure that everyone can keep reporting, but you may have to wait a little while to see the data in level 0. You will have to come back into level 0 anytime you report data, if you get to do it live or through the batch. Once you see that the number has increased, you need to come back into here, hover over the L1 data prep, and tap on your student daily attendance. New this year, whenever this is white, it's going to let you know that your data has never been uploaded and you need to do so. If it's red, so if you loaded data, it got into the batch, or you got distracted after you did the import, you log back into level 0, and remember I have to do my L1 data prep. This field will actually be red, and it will match the timestamp over here. It's going to show you when was the last time that your data was uploaded. Again, for this school, it's none, but it would also be red to show you that there's been an update and you need to lock your data. You use the electronic import, do not delete multiple times, and then just do L1 prep at the end of the day. You do not have to do it continuously. I'm actually just going to show you that screen for staff snapshot L1 data prep. Let's look at that. L1 data prep, staff snapshot. And see here where now this part is red and is warning you, hey, look, you haven't saved this since last year and you need to do it. You need to validate and, do the L1 data prep again. Your data is always safe in level 0, but it doesn't move to level 1 of our data warehouse, which is actually in ReportNet. You can get a verification report of what you've reported, and it gets it in the pipeline so that we transfer the data to the city every week. Student daily attendance is passed to the city every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Because, as I mentioned, we're going from, about 1.3 million records to over 28 million records this year. We had to separate that data transfer from the regular transfers to the city. Again, anytime on any L1 data prep for any template, if it is red, you know that you need to do it. Once it is no longer red, I think it'll be white again. You do not have to do it twice. This cue is to help you from hitting it twice, because that can it actually holds up the data in the data warehouse. It's like a traffic jam. The 2 files will be sitting in our data warehouse, and we have to manually touch it to decide which one is the final version that has to go. The software doesn't make that decision. So you only want to do this once. Okay, I said enough and made this video too long. As always, if you get stuck, call us for help and get us back to the home screen. Important announcements over on the left-hand side, quick links over here. On every page is our phone number and an email to contact our ticketing system. Actually, when you are in level 0, I just thought of this. In the upper left-hand corner here, tap on that logo, and our phone number and website email address are also all over here on the left-hand side. Okay, thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me for this video.